In this video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the work that we're doing on this layout. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you will have seen that we've looked at the cork, we've looked at the layout and the track plan, but in this video, we're going to have a look at the board itself and some of the things that I probably should have done before I started laying the track. So let's get into it. One of the jobs that we did need to do was securing the track to the board because it was getting knocked around and not secured down, and it was becoming a bit of a problem. Things were going to get damaged. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. We're going to need a small drill and some twist drill bits. This is a hand drill that you can pick up off Amazon. I've got a nail center punch. These have got like a recessed end which fit quite nicely onto the track pins. And then I've got a tub of track fixings. These are SL14s from Pico, approximately 13mm long. We'll just be using these to secure the track down. So let's have a go at doing one. I'm going to go ahead and set up my drill. I've got a 0.45mm bit in the end of there. The Pico set track comes with holes pre-drilled, but the issue that we have is because the pins are so thin, when they hit the ply of the board, they just end up bending. So what we need to do is take our drill bit and then using a little bit of force and twisting, just go ahead and drill through the hole that's already in the track, through the cork and into that ply until the drill is all the way down onto the sleepers. And then we can take a pin and push that into the hole. So I'll do this and we're back in a sec. So once the hole is drilled, we're going to take one of these pins and insert it into the hole that we've just drilled, like this. As you can see, that pushes quite nicely into there, but the final bit is sticking up. That's going to be no good. We can't leave it like that. So we'll take this center punch and we'll sit it on top of the pin, just like this, and then push it down. And that's it. That's that section of that track secured down. So we just need to go around and do that on every single hole on the layout, and then the track will be nice and secured. So I'm going to do that and we'll be back soon. So now all those pins are nicely inserted into the track. Every single piece of this track is secured down nicely. So that is one job that is now complete. You will notice that I have taken all the buildings off the board, and that was just so that they don't get damaged whilst I'm doing this. They will be back. The plan for those is still the same, but they're just off here for now whilst I'm working on the board. One of the issues that I have with the layout is now that the main outer loop comes so close to the edge of the board, ballasting is going to be extremely difficult. So let's have a look and see how we're going to fix it. So essentially what we've done is got some 1/2-inch ply and created a lip that's going to go onto the front of the baseboard. These two holes are for the positive and negatives to run through. I just need to cork this, and then we can fix this to the underside of the main baseboard. So let's give corking a go. Now the cork is on, we need to get some offcuts, lay these on top like this, and then clamp it so that the cork is held down. So let's give that a go. So now that top piece is on, we've got some clamps holding it in place, and we just need to wait for it to dry. One of the other issues that I had is in this section of the board, some of the cork had ripped like it has done there. So what I've done is I've cut a section out and recorked it. So I've got some more offcut of this ply, PVA'd it on, and it's being held in place by another D-clamp. So now that the PVA has secured the cork to this extra piece of wood that we discussed earlier, we're just going to take a sharp blade and run it along the edge, cutting off the excess cork so that we can offer this up to the baseboard. So now all the excess is cut off, what we can go ahead and do is get the board like this, and we'll need to get the wires, put them through the holes that are pre-drilled there, and then we can offer this up like this to the existing board and clamp it in place. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be back in a minute. So there we have it. The extension section of the board is offered up now, ready to be secured in place with the screws that we've got on the underside. You can see one here, there's one there, and there's one here, and with it clamped in place we can easily just offer that up. So that's the next job. So let's see what it looks like once that's done. So now that the extended piece of ply is offered up to the main board, we need to, as I said earlier, screw it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So we'll just use a normal drill and just screw these up into the main board. So now that that's fixed on, you can see that it's nice and level with the existing board, and here at the area where we had a problem before, we've got plenty of space to ballast this track now. That extended piece of track will give us loads more room to be able to get that ballast in, and a bit of room on the front of the board. The next job that I have to do is to get some power to the board. Now this is something that I've been putting off because I have no idea, or had no idea, about how I was going to get that to work. So as you can see here, we've got a black cable just there, and we've got a red cable just there. These are both drilled through the board and they come through underneath. So what I've gone and done is I've taken some more wire and I've put some of these chocolate blocks onto the end, and I'm just going to go ahead and join them up. So now that the wires are connected to the chocolate blocks, or the choc blocks, or whatever it is they're actually called, we need to connect them up to the controller. I've got a Gauge Master Combi single track controller. So we just need to add the, as I've done here, the black and the red into the correct places, so that when the forward setting is selected on the top here, the train goes forwards, and when it's set to reverse, it goes backwards. You can also see that I've got the power for the Gauge Master Combi controller drilled through the baseboard. This goes into this hole here, and it goes underneath, through here, all the way through, and then it comes out. I made a mess. You'll also notice that I've got the power for the Gauge Master Combi coming through the board here. This goes through this batten, through here, all the way through. It then goes underneath and comes down over there. That's so that I can plug it in and the wire is nicely hidden away, and all that's good. And then I can just disconnect it from here when I'm not using it, or when I need to work on the track or whatever. The final job of today was to fix this batten onto the underside of the board like this, because what's going to happen here is this will form a side for me to be able to fix the sides of my baseboard onto.
So now that the glue has all dried, we can go ahead and take off these clamps, which will remove this piece of wood which I was using to hold down the cork in the areas that wasn't really binding. So let's take these off and see what result we get. Over on this far side, we've also got some more clamps, one here, one here. This was holding a batten on underneath. These need to come off as well, so I'll take them off. There's one more there. There's a batten underneath here, which is now nicely secured. That's going to form the side. So essentially, this scrap piece of wood, this will sit here and screw on and form a side. That'll be the same all the way round. And then remember that small little area that I said about before that had ripped? Also has got a clamp on it, so we'll take that off. Remove the piece of wood that's holding that down. And then that's ready to be cut. So what I do is get a sharp knife with a relatively sharp blade, get along the edge like this, and then just slowly cut the excess off. So now that the clamps are all off, we need to have a look at putting the side and back boards on. I've got this sheet of 1/2 inch ply, marked out where the batten is, which is this top line here. The batten comes to an end there. I put a centre line on so that I know where to drill, and then I'm going to get my drill bit and make some pilot holes for the screws to go in. So I'll give that a go and then we'll see where we are after then. So now that this backboard is on, we just need to bring these screws up like this. And that should be the backboard done. So this is the side panels. I'm going to mark this up exactly the same as I did with the back. We've got the line here for the batten, the line here for the midpoint of where that batten is, and I'm going to take my drill and just drill some holes for the screws. Just at random intervals along the board, like this. and then insert some screws into those holes like this. Ready to be fixed onto the base. So 3 more, and that should be that done and ready for fixing on. So what I need to do now is take this side and line it up with the back of the layout like this. Make sure that it's level and then screw it in. So let's give that a go. So here we are. This is the finished product with the sides on. You can see we've got a wrap all the way around. Just got a last job to do there and to drill that through, and then that is the top section completely done. Let me just show you one of the things that we did have to do at the back. So because things weren't 100% square, some of these weren't lining up, so I've put a brace around the side to bring the backboard in line with the sides, which makes that surround a little bit more sturdy. Another one of the issues that I have with this board is that it rocks. Don't know if you can see it on camera, but it rocks a bit. So what we're going to have a look at doing is fitting some bars which go from this leg to this leg and then all the way around. So let me clamp one of those on, how it's going to look, and that might give a better idea of what the end result's going to look like. So here you can see that I've got this front batten on the front of the table. This is actually going to be on the inside so that you don't catch yourself on it, and I want to also be able to use it for a shelf, but this will hopefully add some stability to this rocking. We're also going to add a bar from here to the back, and then exactly the same as I've done on the front here, on the back, and on the other side as well. So let's get to that and we'll see what that looks like when we're done. So a bit more progress has been made. If we have a look down here, we can now see that we've got the bars attached for the shelf, and I've got some supports here. We've decided that the supports along the top that we were going to have across there are no longer going to go in. We're going to put a diagonal brace on each side like this. That's going to give it some more stability. This is added in quite a lot of extra sturdiness. And once this is done, these bars are going to be painted black along with the back and sides of the board surround. So that's where we're up to at the moment. The sides of the board have now had some filler applied to where the screws were. This is going to make the whole thing flush so that when it comes to painting these black, they will be hidden. So that's going to look quite nice. Yeah, and then some filler has been added along the side here, which is going to be cleaned up a bit, and that backboard's going to come off, which is just added there as a little bit extra wood to bind whilst the filler is drying. So a bit more progress has been made on the underside of the baseboard. We've now got this shelf in place. This is mainly a brace, but it's going to be a shelf as well. And then the underside of that is going to be just empty so that I can slide things underneath. The cross braces are now in, as you can see. One over there and then one over there. Looks pretty decent. So the next job to do is get these all painted up, and then once that's completed, they're all painted, the shelf's on, the board can go back in the corner where it came from, and the building of the layout can continue. So for the painting, I'm going to use this all-purpose primer as a first coat, and then I'm going to paint the wood with this matte black paint from Johnson's. It's good for wood and metal, so hopefully that should be enough. I'm also thinking that I'm going to paint this front edge as well while I'm at it, just to make that a bit cleaner. So this will need masking off, and then just give that a little paint along there, and then along this edge here, and then the back. I showed where that backboard was attached onto the side of here to form like a bonding area for the filler. You can see now that that's all been done, nice and smooth, and that backboard has been removed. So that's all ready for painting. This is going to need a damp cloth though first, because we need to get all the dust off before we start painting. But this is all going to go nice and black, all along the top as well, not on the other side. I'm going to put a seam, but stay tuned to see what that looks like. But yeah, this is looking really good. Now that all these braces are on, we need to go ahead and tighten these nuts up. So I'm going to take a screwdriver and pop that into the other side of that screw, and then just tighten these up nice and tightly so they don't come off. We've already gone ahead and cut them, so the main part of it is removed. So I'm going to go around and do this to all of these, and then we'll be back. The shelf is now cut and secured on. This is going to be a good little storage area for some of the smaller boxes, toolbox, that kind of thing, and then just some space on the floor, as we discussed, for bigger boxes to just slide underneath. So yeah, that's looking brill. The next job before this is all done is just to get all this bare wood painted up, and this will be ready to go back into the corner where it comes from. Oh, and we also need to reconnect these wires, so that's a job that I also need to do. So we'll go ahead and get these connected, and then we'll get on with that painting. So we're going to start painting these sides as we discussed. So the first thing that I'm doing at the moment is just wiping down the wood and getting off all of the excess dust. I'm going to go around with the hoover on the bottom and get off all the other bits as well. We're not going to do the inside, so this is fine because you can just stay like that. So prepare that. I'm going to mask along here so I don't get any black on the inside, and then we can start painting. I've also got some of these polyurethane sheets I'm going to put on the floor to make sure I don't get any paint on the ground. So now that we've got a white top coat on and it's dried, we're going to go ahead and put on the black finishing coat on all of the areas that painted white yesterday. So now that we've got a finished white undercoat on, I'm going to go and put the black top coat on all the edges that I've painted white with the undercoat, and hopefully this should give it a nice matte finish, and that will hopefully complete this table for the baseboard, and it can go back into the corner and we can actually start working on the layout again. So I'm going to go on and do this, and we'll see what it looks like when it's all finished and dried. There we go. So the entire board is now painted in matte black. We've just got to wait for 16 to 24 hours now for that to dry before we can touch it and put it back into the corner. As part of this video, I do just want to give a quick demo of the track running. So we'll wait for that to dry and then come back and get this back in its rightful place. So that's it for this episode. As you can see, we've now got a locomotive running around the track. We've got the boards all around the sides ready for the backgrounds to go on. The legs are all sturdy and fitted. There's now a shelf and everything's painted. If you've liked this episode, please do consider subscribing, liking and sharing it with your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.